Hi, it's Randy Herman with Keller Williams Realty, bringing you Everything Real Estate, a show that answers all your questions about anything to do with buying, selling, investing, or renting, leasing property. And today's topic is organizing and organizers. And for that, I have an expert here, Ann Lucas, who's got a company, Ducks in a Row Organizers. Ann, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, terrific. Well, why don't we start off, you just tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into organizing, a little bit about your company.
Okay. I'm from the Boston area. I grew up in Malden, went to UMass Amherst, BA in economics. Did a lot of customer service work over the years, and I was home with the kids once, so left the real world and spent 15 years raising the kids, and then I actually saw a Hallmark Hall of Fame movie where the woman hired a clutter lady, and I thought that's what I should do. And my husband told me that was the stupidest thing he'd ever heard.
So are you normally organized?
Yes.
Is that why?
Yes, yeah. Very organized. Always. I can remember as a kid cleaning out the junk drawer. And I did try real estate for a couple of years, thinking that the two would go together well.
Right.
But it's really difficult to start two businesses at once.
Oh, especially real estate. That's
real
more
estate's
than
very
a full-time
difficult.
job, absolutely.
So, and I knew I wanted to do this, I just really wasn't sure how to get it going. But
Right.
over time, little by little, I built it up, word of mouth mostly.
And how many clients do you have now, for example?
It varies. I have a few very steady clients, 3 each week that I see, and then depending on people's needs, there may be a couple others. It's just week to week, it's not exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I have a curious, you have two initials after your name, NAPO and NASMM. What are they for?
NAPO is the National Association of Professional Organizers. It's national. There's also a New England chapter. So anybody that's in this area that wants to join and become an organizer, they support you. They run classes and.
So does that indicate you have a higher level of competence? Or?
No, not necessarily. There is a certification program. I haven't really. I don't know. To me, it's not.
Not necessary?
No, it's not.
Okay. Well, why don't we jump in then, and if you can start to tell us exactly what an organizer does. I know it sounds like a silly question, but.
We do various things. People may want us to come in and help them with the move, clear out the clutter, even just get the attic straightened out,
right.
Or the basement. We do a lot with seniors that are downsizing and don't really even know where to get started, don't know what to do with all the stuff they've had, for 40 years.
It can be overwhelming.
It is overwhelming. Yeah. And then physically, for a lot of people, it's really difficult to even just move things around,
right.
So
I understand why some people, especially seniors or you're downsizing, how that can be overwhelming because you have so many emotional attachments to things. But in general, why do you think people need an organizer? I mean, why don't they just be organized?
Some people truly don't know how to be, or they weren't taught how to be organized. And then others have, people do what they're really good at. So my artists' clients, they're all a little bit in disarray, but they're fabulously creative. And
I have to tell you, I just bought a book, How to Organize for the Creative Mind. So I know what you mean.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to claim they're all ADD, but there's a little ADD happening with a lot of people.
Right.
And time. People just don't have the time
right.
to spend. Although if you take a few minutes to put things in their spot, you'll save time in the end. But I often equate it to making an appointment with the trainer at the gym. If you make the appointment, you'll get it done. You'll go.
Right. So that was my next question. What's the difference between why can't you just buy a book versus having someone like yourself come in and help? Again,
the books can give you good ideas and strategies, but it's setting aside the time in your schedule to actually make it happen. And I think that's partly a big problem for a lot of people. They're so busy. They're going from the break of day to the midnight, some people, and the
So
family.
I guess basically, aside from needing the support, it's an extra pair of hands. That can help.
Yes, and it's motivation. It's really not fun for people, a lot of people, to do it by themselves. Even if you get a friend to help you clean out your closet, it's more fun to have somebody with you.
Yeah. I have to tell you, I was, everybody I told about the show and what the subject is this week said, oh, I have to listen. Oh, I need an organizer. Oh, I need help. So it seems pervasive in our society that we're just overwhelmed by so many things that we need help.
Well, we all have too much stuff too.
Right.
The majority of people have, and they just, well, if they have room, they'll just stick it over there, Well, we'll put it in the attic, or we'll put it in the basement, we'll
Till
put
you
it in the
run out of
garage.
closets.
So if you have the space, you tend to accumulate.
Yeah.
It's more freeing to, you'll feel lifted, a weight lifted off you if you can keep your possessions, under control.
I have to tell you a story. I have a friend who lives over in Europe, and he came here, and as I was driving around showing him the sites, he said, how come there are so many storage places around? I said, well, wait till you go into the homes. You'll see why Americans need storage spots. And that's a big business, isn't it?
It's a huge business.
Yeah. So when are the key points of when people need your services? I mean, what are the life-changing events that happen? I mean, I know there's moving, for example.
Yeah, oftentimes, I've had clients going through divorce, clients blending families. I have had hoarder clients, and that usually is a crisis. The family has stepped in and said, we've got to get this cleaned up.
Right. What causes hoarding?
Hoarding is, it's actually a mental health problem. People, for whatever reason, can't let go of things, and it can be any sort of loss that they've experienced, even losing a piece of paper that you needed for court or something. That can cause you to hang on to. It's a trauma. Typically, it's women, typically
Oh, really?
middle 50s.
Oh, really?
It can start, yeah. This is typical.
Right.
It's not necessarily.
See, I hate to sound discriminatory, but I always think of women having cats at that age.
The cat ladies. and that's a problem. I mean, there's actually a hoarding scale. So
Oh, really?
yeah, you can look at, actually, if you Google hoarding scale, it'll come up. BU has a hoarding task force, and they do incredible work.
Right. So do you get busier at times like, I don't know, weddings or Christmas or tax season or?
It's been pretty steady. My slowest month is typically January, which you would
Really?
think would be a New Year's resolution type of thing that people would want to get organized. But
Yeah.
for whatever reason, I think people are just tired from the holidays and need to regroup. But February, things pick up.
The junk has accumulated.
Well, they just have all these Christmas presents and Hanukkah gifts that now they have to find a place to put them.
There you go. Right. So what are the main places they do put them or that you focus on in terms of your organizing?
A lot of the jobs are basements, attics, and garages.
Okay.
Because again, if they need to put something somewhere and the basement's full, where is it going to go?
Right. I have to tell you, as a realtor, I see dozens of houses every week. And I would say that perhaps 50%, if that, of garages are used to park a car. The rest of the time, they're storage.
I think 50% is probably a high number. I think it's less.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was an article the Property Brothers did. It was in the Globe section a while back, and their number one thing to do before you sell your house to make the most, get the most for the house, the most money, was to declutter.
Well, that's what we tell clients
Yeah.
all the time. And you go into any house, it's to declutter. And that's the hardest thing to do.
It's the hardest.
So I saw that you're an organizer and a move manager. So what's the difference between those two?
Move managing, we pretty much take it from A to Z. We'll go in the beginning, go through the possessions with the clients, decide what they should take, what they can take, and what to do with what's left over. And then we arrange for the movers, packing, estate sales if we need one, donations, and then set them up in the new place and get them settled in. And
So start to finish.
yeah, usually start to finish. And we can do any piece of the move process as organizers, but for a lot of folks, it's easier just to have one person.
Do everything.
Yeah, and a point of contact for the movers and the donations and all that. So.
Right. So I imagine, actually I saw from some of the slides that we'll see in a little bit, that you also do desks and
Yes.
you do bills and documents. Does that include taxes? Are you organizing receipts and things of that nature?
Yes, I have done that for clients, organize their financial statements, anything that they would need to give to the accountant or whoever does the taxes. I'm trying to get them to go paperless whenever possible, because
Never happen. It'll never happen.
it is getting better. You know,
You know, in real estate, it must have
Well,
been
real
10
estate,
years
yeah.
now, I've heard, where everyone's going paperless. We just have more paper than ever.
it's hard, but
very
most of
hard.
your things you can get online. You can get your electric bill, you can get your gas bill,
Well,
all
that's
of your bank stuff.
That is true.
And it's harder, again, for the older folks that aren't as computer savvy, but I think, I think the generations, my kids now, they're not going to, they have no paper. Everything is done electronically, so.
Yeah. No, you're right. So are there other rooms like kitchens? Do you do kitchen? And what do you do in a kitchen to organize a
Kitchens,
kitchen?
I had a client a few years back, she just wasn't, her kitchen was making her anxious. And so I went in and we literally take everything out of the cabinets, organize it by, pasta, rice, whatever. And when I did that, she looked and she said, "Oh my goodness, I have a lot of pasta." She had about 30 boxes of pasta.
Right.
And so we go through it, we
Was
take
she
out
Italian? That was,
no, actually, she wasn't. But so we go through and we get rid of what isn't, if it's expired. I think everybody has something expired in their pantry, but.
Yep.
And then we put it back together, where it makes sense for her. Not necessarily how I would do it for me, but it has to work for the client.
right. Which
So-
actually brings me to the next slide, which has to do with what are the benefits of organizing? So,
Well, it saves you time,
Yep.
number one.
Yep.
I mean, if you come in the house every day and you put your keys in the bowl, you're not spending 15 minutes in the morning.
I
Where
have
are
to-
my keys?
I have to tell you that happened to me until finally we put like you're saying, a little dish, and every time I come in the door, I put my keys and wallet in there. So it makes a big difference.
It does. It does.
So ease of time and ease of retrieval.
Right.
Right.
If you
finding
need something,
it.
you know where where it should be.
Right. And I imagine it helps you, just have an inventory control, so you know how many paper clips or boxes of pasta you have. Or,
Yes, you don't have 7 little rakes in the shed because you went and bought a new one because you couldn't find the other one.
Right.
And I think it gives you a sense of calm. It's less stressful.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. You know what also I found for myself anyway, that when I get organized and I know where everything is, it frees up my mind to be more creative. So I don't have to worry about in the back of my mind, where do I put that paper? What do I have to do next, etc. Do you also deal with scheduling things for people, organizing people's time and schedule?
I don't do time management. I find that difficult to teach somebody how to do that. I have time management. I'm always usually early, except for today. But I think there are organizers that do that, but that's not one of my better skills.
Right. So do you find when people are organized that they have or satisfied with less possessions?
Most people are. Most people feel better when, and they're happy. You know, when we leave, we take whatever we can fit in the car goes with us, and we drop it off and donate it wherever it can go.
Oh, so you take care of the
Yeah.
donations too?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
what happens to those tax-deductible donations?
The receipt, I'll bring back the next time we go, or drop it off, or mail it, whichever.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they don't have to do that. It was important to me not to leave people with a pile of things that they had to deal with. So I put them in my minivan and
Yeah, that would have
take care of
caused
that.
another organizing
well,
event.
it does. It
Yeah.
does. They need to feel relief.
Yeah.
You know, and they're usually happy. If the van is full, they're very happy.
Right. Well, either that or they should come to me for a bigger house,
Well.
and then I can, they can fit everything in the house. So why don't we go on to a few examples? And obviously you do interiors like living rooms or dens or dining rooms, that sort of thing. And what is usually the kind of the overriding objects or problem with trying to keep things straight that way?
A lot of it is
In common rooms, I mean.
the paper. There's paper everywhere. I think that's one of
Oh,
the biggest
really?
problems. You know, the mail.
Oh,
People
yeah.
have a struggle getting through the mail every
Yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah.
There's so much junk mail. And books. There's lots of books usually.
Really? You know, I'm surprised because
Yeah.
I have to say one thing that has surprised me as a realtor is I go into people's homes and I would say maybe 20% of the people, and that's even in this area, which is, you know, highly educated area considered, have books in them. Most people have TVs, they have electronics, but not that many books anymore. I mean, I remember times when books lined the living
Yeah,
room,
yeah.
you know.
Most of my clients have lots of books. Still.
Really?
Yes.
And what do you do with the books?
There's a fabulous organization in Waltham. It's called More Than Words. They'll come and pick up.
Oh, yes.
And they
high
run
schoolers
yes,
were- yes.
They run a store that teaches kids how to run a business,
Cool.
and they're great. They're great. There are bins, you know, you can drop off in Winchester. There's a couple of bins that I can throw them in, and
Right.
they can get a receipt.
I think this is a good time to ask, how do you help people divest themselves emotionally from these objects? Because books, it's the one thing I miss. I used to have 1,000 art books, and when I moved so many times, I just keep giving them, but I always miss them.
Well, if it's something that you really feel strongly about, you know, if the person really, really wants to keep it, then it's my job to figure out how to keep it for them, the best way to store it, the best place to put it. And I have had clients that have moved and downsized and have taken way too much stuff. And there's always a round two, I tell them. Just settle in, see how it goes, and then if you have more things to give away, call me, I'll just come get them. So it's...
Oh, I like that, round two.
Yeah, it
Makes
depends
sense.
on the stuff, but you know, there are people, I had professors that I helped. The books were their thing. She didn't care what happened to the china and the crystal.
Well, usually it's funny, but usually these things are, you know, done in stages. So people then go and get a storage facility and use it for a year, and then realize they're not going to use any of this stuff, and then get rid of it. So they've wasted a year's worth of rent. and
There
storage.
are many people that have more than one storage unit for more than 1 year.
Really.
Storage is a very lucrative business. I don't
Absolutely.
recommend it, but sometimes it's necessary.
Well, maybe that should be an adjunct for you.
No, time for that.
All right, so next we're on to garages here. And obviously, like we were saying, it is a problem area for so many people because there's so many different kinds of things, I would imagine, to store in a garage, and because you want to leave room for your cars,
Right.
et cetera. So what's your trick of trade here in dealing with garages?
If you can, use the walls in the garage, hang things. Shelving is great if there's room for it, but the more you can get up, even up above, they make racks that would hang from the ceiling that you can put things in.
Oh, great. Terrific. Okay. And would you say that most garages that you see are filled with
Most.
stuff? Yeah. Okay. On to bedrooms. What is there anything in particular that you do for bedrooms? I mean, I would imagine clothes is a big one. And
Clothes is a big one.
Yeah.
And the old New England homes don't have very good closets usually.
oh, that's right. The old Victorian homes
Yeah.
have closets the size of a, a broom closet.
Yeah, yeah. So that can be a challenge. Again, going through the clothing with them, figuring out what they should keep, what fits them,
I would think that one of the keys to organizing, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but is having another place to put it. So in other words, if you have clothes, you need to get an armoire, or you
Right.
need to you need to have some other file cabinet or something else to organize the objects into.
That is true. There are many closet companies that can come in and do a closet, double hanging, shoe cubbies. It depends on, again, on the size of the closet and what would work best. But I can also recommend, give them, examples. We've used easyclosets.com. It is easy to use.
So you have a lot of affiliates that you work with.
Yep.
Oh.
I can make recommendations on what, the best way to go is.
Do you think there's a good store such as, I don't know, Bed Bath Beyond or Crate and Barrel or one of those places that help, is a better place to buy organizing equipment?
But I love Bed Bath & Beyond. Container Store, obviously.
Container Store,
Store has something for everything.
Yeah.
You don't need something for every little thing, but there are some very unique things at the Container Store that work specifically for some people particularly well. Target, Walmart, any one of those places. And you just have to figure out the right container depending on what's going in it.
Right. So we're on to shelving here and closets themselves. I have to tell you, and I hate to admit it, but the before looks pretty organized to me. So I am someone who would consider that a success, right? So how do you actually then get to the refined space and get that organized?
It's probably most of the getting the like things together, using the right type of container. Those containers, actually I bought those at the dollar store.
One of my favorite places.
It's great.
Yeah.
And sometimes this was a linen closet. The shelving can be too deep, and if you put little things at the back, you can't see them, you can't find them. So putting them in a smaller container makes it easier. You can take the container out, find what you need, and put it back.
That to me is a key, being able to find whatever is in there. Yeah, absolutely, especially in the refrigerator. Oh my God. Right. Do you organize refrigerators?
I can.
Good. Okay, and then onto desks. Again, the before looks fine to me, but yeah.
Yeah, again, I like to put the like things together and go through and get rid of the things that they don't, that they're in there and they don't know what they are even, Well, I kept it because I thought I might figure out what it is and need it.
Right. So you can see already, I need your services here. So. And then files. So I always liked, a friend of mine said, well, if you put everything flat, it's a pile. If you put it vertically, it's a pile. It's a file. So pile versus files. Yeah. So what's your secret in terms of organizing? I mean, it looks like, for example, you put all of the tabs in order. And is there a particular reason for that, or?
Well, if you run the tabs one side or the other, depending on how your drawer opens, you can put things in between them and it doesn't get all messed up. If you go the staggered route and you want to put something in between, then all the tabs are they don't go in a line like they should.
Yeah.
So, and I pretty much do most filing alphabetically by what the client, how they would look for the item. If it's electric bill, do you want it under electric bill? Do you want it under NSTAR or whoever, Eversource? How would they think about it?
Right. So let me ask you, Personal question, is your home organized?
It is.
It is,
It
okay.
And my husband's very organized, so I don't fight that battle. You know, a lot of times I meet with people and they, oh, my husband's a mess, or my wife needs your, you know. Sometimes it's one person's very organized and the other is not.
Right, but you're
And
in
then
sync.
We are. And our kids are pretty organized, as much as they would hate to admit it.
Must be genetic. It got to be a genetic component here.
There's a little bit of learning involved, I think, but yeah.
Well, terrific. So you want to tell us some of the particulars of your service? For example, what does it cost? Do you charge by the hour, by the job? How
We
you
charge by the
estimate?
hour.
Right.
We typically work in 3-hour sessions. We can go longer, but we have found that most people after 3 hours they just can't make any more decisions.
Yeah.
Now that would be different if it were, you know, the people have passed and the kids have hired us to clean out the house, or, you know, give us the keys and off we go. But
Right.
I do a free consultation.
Oh, great.
I think it's important to meet the people and they meet me.
Right.
And then if they want to go forward, we'll book an appointment and they can use us as much or as little as they need.
And what's included in your services? I mean, you said that there's the donations that you will take care of. Will you buy the boxes themselves or the containers themselves? Or
Can do that. I've found that most people, if it's just organizing and not a move job, most people already have the right containers, they just aren't using them the right way.
Really?
But if they need something, you know, I can order it online or go pick it up for them, that's not a problem.
Right. And here's a key. How do you make sure that the organization sticks, that they just don't become messy 2 days afterwards?
Well, hopefully we've set it up in such a way that they can easily keep it up. Occasionally I'll have someone call and say, I've made a mess, I need you again.
So you set up a system and then they're able to follow it.
Hopefully, that's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Great. Terrific. And we already talked about affiliate services, so that's great. Do you have any particular story you want to tell us about a particular job you're on now or have had in the past where you've really helped someone to change their lives through organization?
I had an older couple in Winchester. This was early on. One of the realtors brought me in, and we started in the garage. They wanted to, they were going to get an apartment. They weren't going to assisted living, but we started in the garage and we went through each item in the garage. It took us 2 hours. They decided, you know, what their kids would get, what they didn't need anymore, and I put whatever they said I could in my van. And at the end of 2 hours, they looked at each other and said, "We can do this." They were so much happier. They were relieved. They thought, you know, it's not going to be a daunting process. And then I helped them with every other area of the house. It was a slow process. They weren't in a rush, which is good.
So you gave them the confidence they needed and helped them make it happen.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. Listen, thank you so much. We're running out of time. I just want you to let us know how people can get in touch with you if they need your services.
Okay, you can call me at 617-513-4507. That's my cell. And my email is Anne, ANNE, at ducksinaroworganizers.com.
Well, thank you so much. You're going to be getting my call to help me out
Happy to.
very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.